Saturday, of course, is big college football action right here on 1160 WCCS and FM 101.1 as the Penn State Nittany Lions will be hosting the Pitt Panthers. Boy, Penn State Pitt doesn't get any better than that, does it? Well, let's ask somebody who really knows. He's an insider, after all. He's Bill Contz on the line with us now, a member of the 1982 national champion Penn State Nittany Lions. His new book is called When the Lions Roared. Joe Paterno and one of college football's greatest teams. He's on the phone with us now. Good morning.
Hey, Todd. Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. It's good to have you on the air with us here today, especially right now with Penn State Pitt coming up this weekend.
It is, and it's a privilege to be on with you. And man, I hope you feel the vibe because I certainly do. This is Wednesday of Pitt week, and back in the day, this meant the world. This game was usually scheduled around Thanksgiving, and there was a lot at stake. Virtually in 3 of the 4 years that I played there was a lot riding on the outcome of the game for sure.
Well, one of the interesting things about your book is, even though it's about primarily the 1982 team, in order to fully explain the story, you have to go back to the 81 team. And you talk a lot about that at the beginning of the book, and the Miami game, the Pitt game that year, which you lost, and then at the end of the book, we get into Pitt-Penn State. Tell me about what was happening on the Penn State campus during the week of the Pitt football game. What was it like?
Yeah. Well, first off, most of the students had gone home. We were on trimesters back in the day, so the campus was deserted. It literally was the football team working throughout the week to play a game that was typically scheduled the day after Thanksgiving, so this was a Friday game. So the game you referred to, the epic 48-14 game, in 1981, we knew full well what we were up against. Pitt was ranked number 1 in the country. First time we'd be playing in Pitt Stadium in quite a while, and lo and behold, a co-captain actually on the 81 team, Chet Parlavecchio, offers the infamous quote, "Who has Pitt played this season? Teal." And that, that kind of bulletin board material certainly didn't make things any easier on us. However, it was interesting, and I detail this in the book. My theory is that Joe secretly wanted that kind of noise to take place because I think he knew he had a pretty good team on his hands, and that he may be able to throw a little bit of a wrench in the Pitt offense. And as the game went on, that proved to be true. So it was a thrilling time for sure. But the campus, frankly, was deserted. But that did not mean the hype for that game was any less what it was.
And after last year's Pitt game, you can bet the campus is just going to be on fire this weekend. Your book, When the Lions Roared, reads to me like a bunch of guys sitting around telling old football stories. How much fun was it to get in touch with these fellows again? And or maybe you've been in touch with them all along and you've just finally compiled them all. Talk about compiling the materials for this book.
Sure. Yeah, and I hadn't been. We get together once every 5 years. This upcoming weekend, we will gather again and be honored at halftime. The university's kind enough to have us back there. But I had not talked to most of these guys since the last reunion. And when I ran this idea of doing a book for them, they absolutely embraced it. It's about time somebody does this. And, so it was a lot of fun to reconnect. But what I detail in the book, their recollections were so vivid. I was part of these things, and I had my own recollections of things, but in some cases were very different and so unique that you're right. I set this thing up to make it sort of an inside the locker room peek at a pretty special time and a pretty special football team at Penn State.
It's just amazing to listen to these guys through your words in this particular book. I want to go inside the actual position that you played and take me inside, because playing against the Pitt-Penn State, the Pitt-Penn State rivalry is so big. When you were playing against Pitt, who was lining up directly across from you most of the time?
Well, this giant by the name of Bill Moss, and in every sense of the word. Moss was easy 6'4", 275, nasty streak. Goes on to be a first-round draft pick of the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, I believe. Bill Moss, Dave Pizzulli was the other defensive tackle. J.C. Pelusi, all had NFL careers. Chris Dolman, linebackers like Rick Cranack, talented team. I detail early on in the book that these squads were the 80 game in particular, not moving forward here, but the 80 game really stands out to me. That of the 180 players that were on the field that game, was a narrow Pitt victory, a 14-1 victory. An astounding 36% of those players were selected in the NFL draft. And I'm talking seniors on the 80 teams for the respective squads, all the way down to the freshman class that graduated the year after I did. But that's hard to believe. So talent was absolutely something that you had to account for. It was a major bowl game for us before we went to a bowl game. You had to get past Pitt. If your season was going to be successful, a victory over Pitt was arguably going to be the defining moment in that.
We get into the 1982 season, of course, which is the focus of this particular book, which, by the way, folks, is called When the Lions Roar. Joe Paterno, one of college football's greatest teams. We're talking with Bill Contz this morning, who was on that team. October 9th, you take on Alabama. Each team is 4-0. You're number 3 in the nation. Alabama's number 4. That particular game was a slugfest, wasn't it?
We're down in Legion Field, and we're coming off arguably the most exciting win in the history of Beaver Stadium. We beat Nebraska driving down the field, 1 minute, 18 seconds left. Todd Blackledge, key completions to Kenny Jackson, the infamous out-of-bounds toss, if you will, to Mike McCloskey before he hits an obscure player from Mechanics, third named Kirk Bowman, for the winning score. So we've got confidence is high, and we go down the Legion Field and absolutely play our poorest football game we had in some time. We fumble the ball, we get punts blocked, we throw some interceptions, and we are still in the football game with 6 minutes remaining, trailing 27-21 when the wheels fall off. Mike Sheeter backs up into Ralph Giacomo. We block our own punt, and all of a sudden it's 42-21, and people think that the blowout loss season's over. Lo and behold, Joe Coles, a fifth-year senior, gets up on his stool in the locker room and probably delivers as impactful an address as Joe Paterno has ever given to any squad. He literally willed our team to go back to State College, work harder, go back to the basics, and absolutely commit to getting better as a team. And as a result, we won the next week against Syracuse and the remaining games leading up to the Sugar Bowl against Herschel Walker in Georgia.
Well, one of the great things about it is you bring up the name Joel Coles, and you think of the personalities on the team. Was he that type of guy? Was he? Because it didn't seem to me that he was.
Up until that point, we only knew Joel Coles to be, one of the old elder statesmen on the squad, and he wasn't. Turns out, in my research that I'd done, that was not the first time Joel did that. Several fellows, Rick D'Amico and Mark Battaglia, played on the Big 33 game, and I guess on the West squad, Joel's team was trailing at halftime. He gets up and does the same thing. And what's ironic is that he's a big player at this point. Joel had suffered some injuries. He started several games as a freshman that, with Kurt Warner and John Williams, it was just a very crowded backfield. But for Joel to stand up, recognize that this is a moment that people need to hear exactly what we need to do. It was several guys in the book commented that they will never forget that. I won't either. And that's the impact that moment had on Penn State, and it helped spur us to a national championship.
The back portion of the book includes some really, really wonderful reflections by your teammates on playing for Joe Paterno, on life lessons learned. As you were compiling those and getting their thoughts on their experiences at Penn State, what were the ones that really stood out to you as something that might have surprised you or might have just affirmed something that you always believed as well? Yeah,
great question. And that's what most of those were. They were reaffirmations, but told in different ways. That's what I meant about their recollections being so same concept, but vivid, and it was as if it happened yesterday. A couple guys are walking, and they're late for a meeting. They don't know Joe's behind them. They're walking on an L-shaped sidewalk. They decide to cut across the grass, right? And they hear this high-pitched New York accent squeal. That's not bad enough, so stay on the grass, you get off the grass, that kind of thing, right? and it's Joe, and it's the younger guys, and Joe pulled no punches when he would do that to regular students, as I understand, and not just his players and coaches, right? So the message, though, behind that was don't cut corners, don't take the easy way out, right? And he had his own unique style and way of reinforcing that both on and off the practice field. That again, it's not the main thing, but that is one thing that seemed to stick out in most every guy's mind, and I capture a couple of folks' thoughts on that. That, simple things like that was Joe. That's what he tried to do. The college experience to him was you go and get a quality education. He stressed very clearly in meetings all the time and during recruiting that if you don't go to class, you don't make an effort to pursue your education, you are going to have a real problem with me, and your playing time will be impacted. I mean, 2 days the first 2 days I'm on campus, he suspends Pete Harris and Carl McCoy for the season, throws them off the squad because they didn't make grades that summer. And these are two starters coming off the 78 Sugar Bowl team that narrowly lost to Alabama. His message was clear, and it was consistent and was reinforced constantly.
Oh, it's amazing. And the book is just such a fun read, especially at this time of the year and especially during this week of the Pitt-Penn State game. Mm-hmm. It's called When the Lions Roared. Joe Paterno, one of college football's greatest teams. I wish we could spend more talking about that Pitt game in '82 and, of course, the Sugar Bowl against Georgia. But we are out of time with Bill Contz this morning. Bill, how can folks get their hands on the book?
Yeah, the book is available online at Amazon.com, TriumphBooks.com. I have a website that points you to both of those. BillContzPSU.com is up and running. It's got a lot of great stuff, a lot of rare photos as well. But Amazon, Triumph, Google Books, anywhere you get it online, and it's in selected bookstores. I believe Barnes & Noble in State College and Altoona, and two I know of are available as well. It's a great read. People are enjoying it. I can't thank you enough for your time, Todd, and we are.
Penn State. There you go. Thanks so much for being with us, Bill. We appreciate it. It's Bill Contz. You said BillContz.com, correct?
www.BillContzPSU.com.
There you go. Contz, by the way, spelled C-O-N-T-Z. Forward by Todd Blackledge, When the Lions Roared, from Bill Contz. Here this morning with us on Indiana in the Morning. Have a wonderful day today, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. You do the same.
It's Indiana in the Morning on AM 1160 WCCS FM 101.1.